Welcome to Yoga for Bones team, and this week before I mute you, again, I'm just going to reestablish what we're doing here today. I don't know if y'all remember, hi Deborah, hello Jojo, all remember week number 1 was about the hips, and I think it's really well worth revisiting the hips because we know that they play a vital role in our everyday mechanics, from simple things like walking, to getting up from a chair, to climbing stairs, to going bike riding, Ms. Jenny D, or all the other activities that involve movement of your body. So I think it's vital that we understand that that lack of movement can inhibit other things in our body. And what happens because our body is lacking movement in our hip flexion or hip extension, here's another, flexion, extension. When we're missing that range of motion, what tends to pick up the load are things above that large joint or things below. And we're really concerned in Yoga for Bones with our spine and trying to maintain that neutral spine position. And if we are unable to get that movement pattern, especially with the extension, which requires strong glute muscles, hip extension, flexion here, but if we're missing this hip extension rather, what tends to happen is our hip will roll open, which will then cause a little bit of torsion in that low back. Hi Karen! A little bit of torsion or twisting of the low back. Since the spine is full of trabecular, we're going to do our best to try and not do that, especially in this class. So I encourage you to get curious, number 1. Number 2, if the repetitions of the movements that we're doing, especially at the beginning, seem a little too much for you today, then just take a break and don't do quite as much. We're all going to start in a standing position. I'm going to go ahead and mute everybody, but you know that's not locked out. And if there's anything that you feel is imperative that you ask, hi Nora, a question, then please by all means. Please take care of yourself, team. I know for myself, I got my booster on Friday. Saturday, I was down. So if there's anything that you're dealing with right now, please listen to your body. Quick sip of water is always available to you. We're going to come to stand with our chair nearby. Let's have all 10 toes facing forward, please. And then just simply a couple little shoulder rolls as we get established, rolling those shoulders up, back, and down. So we settle into our mountain pose before we do anything. We'll go for 4. That's it, Candace. Open up the chest. Really exaggerate the circles. 3, 2, and 1. And let's simply just change that direction as we start to move with our breath with intention. So we talked, our mantra for this week is to take up space. See how this manifests in your movement practice today. 3, good, and 2, good, and last one, beautiful. Standing with your feet, again, parallel, turn your palms slightly out, lift your breastbone into your palm for a moment, and then see if you can soften those ribs down while keeping that lifting action. So bottom ribs anchor down towards your pelvis, but the sternum has this sense of energy lifting up, yes? Palms slightly turned forward, maybe slightly out, and then softly for a moment, just close your eyes and see what it's like to take up space with our breath. Taking these long inhales through the nose as we settle into our body. Noticing where our feet are establishing a connection to the ground. Do you feel like you can anchor a little bit more in your big toe mound or your pinky toe mound, or perhaps even in through the center of the heel? Relaxing any part of your body that is holding unnecessary tension, and seeing if you can not only fill up through the front of the rib cage, but also through the sides and the backs of your rib cage. Establishing that breath connection is imperative, and that's why we call this a yoga practice, because we try to move with our breath, with the physical movements. We'll go one more collective breath together, chin tucked in, back of the neck long. And at the end of your next exhalation, you're going to softly open your eyes and relax your arms by your side. Again, you can grab a hold of the chair. We're going to start with that right leg with external rotations. So the leg is going to tap out, down, up, and around. Good. So it's almost like I like to envision that crayon. How many times have you all heard me say, imagine there's a crayon, especially when we do this on our back. Unlock your standing left leg knee. Squeeze the seat on your left side, 2. Good. And 1, so working external rotation. Now let's work the internal rotation. The knee's gonna start out, forward, in across the body. Good. Out, forward, in. Now the whole time, those hip bones at the front of your pelvis continue to face forward. Nice, Karen. So if you want to hold on or you don't want to hold on, the choice is yours. I'm feeling like I need a little support today. Good. Nice, Marie. Good. Up, across, and around. Again, last time. Up, across, and around. Good. And just shake out those legs. We'll move on to the other side. So shifting the weight of the body into your right foot. Bend the left knee. Toes start on the ground. Chest nice and uplifted. Let's go with internal and then external. Good. Right knee now is soft. And I notice some of us have that hip. I want you to think about pulling that hip into the body so that the hip starts to work, the muscles start to kick in. Good. Can you make the movement a little bit bigger for me, Giselle? So slow down the movement and instead really focus on range of motion as opposed to quantity of the hip circles. Good. Up and around. Let's go one more time for good measure because I lost count. Up and around. Good. Nice, Nora. Good. Let's go with the other direction. So out, forward, across. Now working with internal rotation. And again, if you're feeling any like snap, crackles, and pops, generally speaking, they say if there's no pain associated with it, it's okay. But I'm gonna say today for our hip, make the movement smaller so that you don't hear those kind of Rice Krispie like sounds in our body. 3, that's a lot of work. 2, would you say that our standing poses rely on strong hips? I think they do. And 1, good. And now shake out those legs. Good. So now I was kind enough to let you do left and right side equally and evenly. The next sequence is all going to be on your right leg. So your right leg is going to do all the work. Your left foot is going to be right now in the strap. So I have this strap on my left foot and I'm going to hold that strap with both hands equally and evenly. Now again, if this isn't working for you, you can hold onto the strap with both hands. I want you to pull upwards and look at that left knee. Make sure it's right over the ankle, okay? So get your setup, step your right leg back behind you, and then bring it forward in line with your left foot. So it's gonna step back and step forward. So right leg moves back, pull up into the strap, and tap it back. So back and forward. Good. Step back, oh boy, and forward. Now how about up to the side? So instead of behind, we're gonna tap out to the right and back to center. And to the right, that's it, Karen, and center. So pull up into the band, squeeze the shoulders on your back, and connect the bottom rib cage to your pelvis. So out, that's it. So try not to lean outwards. We're staying strong in our standing left leg. And in, let's go back, back, in. How about to the side? Out, in, that's it. Back, in. Now, when you take that leg behind you next time, can you squeeze your right buttock? Squeeze. Hinge forward a little bit for me, Giselle. So instead of staying up vertical, push your hips back a little bit and try to get that weight in your left heel. Good, so all the right leg technically is moving, but you can start to feel your left hip get a little spicy. Good, one more time, back, forward, that's it, Jenny, and to the side, and in, good. Take that out of the way, put that off to the side, you will need it eventually. We're gonna go back to the chair now, so turn to face your chair. Right leg is gonna do all the work. Unlock both knees, feet are parallel, hip width apart. Yeah, kind of sit into your heels like you're almost in a high bar stool. Pick that right leg up. Yes, move it out behind you and tap the floor behind you. Good, bring it back and tap right beside your foot. So same leg is gonna do this work. Each time you tap your right foot behind you, can you tap a little bit farther back? Yes, and then come forward. That's it, NP. Good. And then up and around and tap. Let's go, Jojo. Tap back and up. That's it, Karen. That's it, Sandra. Good. One more time. Up, back, and around. So find yourself now in that high lunge position. You might need to shimmy closer to the chair to have that support. Jean, that's it. So really step that right foot back behind you. You're finding yourself in a high lunge position. Good. From here, front knee stays bent. Lift that torso upright and bend that back knee just a little bit so you can stay vertical like an elevator. Good. From here, can you float both arms out left and right? Bend your front knee, Jenny D. Yeah, so you're simply in a high lunge or yoga high lunge position. Good, and let's get a little bit of movement in the upper body, Sandra. Good. So internally, that's it, Maureen, and externally. Internal thumbs go forward, down, and back. Forward, up, and back. Good, so you're required to do some balance work here. If you need to do a few on one side and hold on to the chair, you're welcome to do that. So left foot forward, right foot back. Good, chest is upright. Connect this movement to your upper back muscles. That's it. Good, internal, external. That's what our joints can do. Some joints have more ability to do the internal and external rotation. Others have less. We are much more mobile in our shoulder than we are in our hips. Good. Now take your hands to the chair rest in front. Good. Again, making sure that that front foot is at least in between the two legs of the back of the chair. Good. And from here, we're going to bend through that back knee and then straighten the legs. So we're going to bend both knees and straighten. Good. As much as you can, right? Bend and straighten. Good. So remember, when the leg is behind you, you're in hip extension, which means you need to squeeze the seat on that back leg. Otherwise, it's going to go into our low back, and we don't want that, right? Good. So knee drops, knee straightens. Good. Two more. That's it. Good, Dina. And up. And now the last one, we're going to transition to a 4-point kneel tease. So if you need something underneath that knee, maybe grab it. Hopefully it was on your chair. You're going to bend both knees, place both feet on the ground, and transition to a 4-point kneel from here. Pad your knees accordingly. Whatever works best for you. We've been through a multitude of variations of 4-point kneeling, including hands on seat of chair. Oh, I'm out of breath. That was a lot of work. So that right leg is working really hard right now. So from our 4-point kneel position, I'm going to move that chair out of the way. Push into the ground equally and evenly. Let's just recalibrate and catch our breath as you rock the hips back and then slowly come forward. So our version of a cat-cow is our rock backs, yes? Try to keep that neutral spine, rocking back and rocking forward. That's it. The whole time, Candace, make sure you're staying broad through your upper back, Deborah. Good. So rock forward and back, forward and back. And then slowly, let's just all return to our 4-point kneel position. Because our right leg is doing all the work today, we're gonna step our right leg back behind us. So keep your toes on the ground initially, team. Really try to push into both hands equally and evenly, so both shoulders stay stacked over the wrists. Toes on the ground, back heel to the ceiling. I want you to squeeze your right seat and lift that leg up, reaching your heel towards the wall behind you. And then touch down with your toes. Good, so push into the hands, float, and lower. So your ankle stays flexed. Your hip goes into extension by squeezing your right seat down. So let's see what that looks like. Good, so down and up, that's it. Try to straighten out those elbows, Giselle, for me. Good. Oh, I'm out of breath today, holy moly. Good, down and up. Pick the back of your head up, Sandra. Yes, ma'am, thank you. 3, and down. Keep those toes facing the floor. 2, and down. Really squeeze your tush, Giselle. Try not to open up that hip. And 1, and down. And then our options from here, I know we worked on bulletproofing our down dog last week. Our options from here is come into an extended child's pose or into a downward facing dog. If you come up into down dog, I implore you to keep your knees bent. Doesn't matter which variation you choose. If you're in extended child's, I want those arms alongside your ears, reaching forward if you're able. That's it, Karen. Take a couple of deep breaths. Beautiful, Jenny. Maybe pedal out those legs, bending one knee and then the other. That's it. Feels good, huh? Good. And then lowering our knees to the floor, we're going to transition to standing. So if you have that chair nearby, you're going to simply step one leg forward and then come back up. And then let's find ourselves back into what pose? Mountain pose again. Feet parallel, hip width apart. Turn your palms open to the sky. Grab that quick sip of water, absolutely. Good, and then again, because we are trying to feel and sense our way through this practice, I want you to softly close your eyes or gaze downcast and bring your attention to the hip crease, okay? And notice what you notice about the left and right side. Any differences that you might feel, maybe just a sense of heat or warmth, maybe activation. We work that side substantially more than the left side. Good. Couple of deep breaths. Unlock those knees, please. Beautiful. And then once again, let's find our strap. This time we're going to take it around the sole of our right foot. I'm going to grab with my thumb and index finger holding the strap and pull upwards into it. So if you have a resistance band, you're gonna have to hold really snugly. In fact, I feel like a resistance band would be like the next level up from a regular strap, right? It doesn't matter to me which one you use, just know that the resistance band is gonna be a little bit more challenging. So from here, roll those shoulders back, MP, chest up. Yeah, just like I said before, try to lift that sternum up without the rib cage going up with it. It's a challenge. If my stronger bones camp people are here, I apologize. You know what I'm talking about. So unlock those knees, and here we go. So your left leg is now going to be the boss. Well, seemingly so. We're going to tap that left leg out and bring it in, and do that a few times, establishing your connection. Try to go out to the side this time instead of behind you in extension. So we're going abduction, abduction, away from the body. Pull up, chest open, shoulders squeezing back, out and in. And again, if you need a chair, grab a chair. Makes no never mind to me. Beautiful, Maureen. Making sure that we're not stepping into our right leg. Good. We go 3. Good. And then we're going to go into that extension. 2, helping our standing poses. And 1. Perfect. Now go behind hip extension. Tap back. Remember your standing leg, your right knee is bent. Squeeze that left seat. So if that leg is behind you and you pound that glute, it's a big muscle, it can handle it. It should be pretty firm. Yeah, you can touch yourself. Good. I'd have a teacher way back in the day, inappropriately making sure that our glutes were active. This is the beautiful thing about Zoom. I won't be around checking your glutes. You can do that yourself. Good. Now let's put the two together. So we're going to go abduction, out away from body, in, tap behind, extend, in. Again, it doesn't have to be huge, right? In and behind. That's it, Jean. And in. If you need a break, you take it. Out. In. We got to wake those things up. Behind. In. Last time. Out. In. And behind. In. Good. Now you can move that strap out of the way. Turn to face your chair. Same posture. You're going to unlock those knees so they're slightly bent. Sit into your heels. Get as close to your chair as you can. I know it's going to be awkward. Maybe you move a little off to the side so you don't hit your chair. Your left leg is going to go up and tap behind. And up and out and tap. So it's going to go like this. We've already did this in our warm-up. And sit back. So we're basically graduating into a bigger and bigger, that's not a word, lunge each time. High lunge. And play with a couple more times. I have a lot more sounds, a lot more voices in this hip than I do the other. Good, one more time. And then this time, find your high lunge. If you need to step your right foot forward, a little closer to the chair, go ahead and do it. That's it, Dad. Good. And then unlock both knees. Float those arms out to the side, thumbs to the sky. Chest lifted. Good, Sandra, good. And now internally, externally rotate the arm bone in the socket. Even though our focus is the lower body, I always want to make sure that we get a little bit of movement in the entire body. Good. Internal and external rotation. Opening up the chest. Waking up those upper back muscles. 3, 2, 1. Now we go to our knee drops. So again, you know where we're going with this. If you want to go ahead and put that blanket down there already. Right now we're going to lower and bend both knees to a 90-ish degree or less than, okay? Take what you can from your body. As you bend your left knee, make sure your left hip rolls forward so it doesn't roll open. Roll that hip back, hip forward. That's it, Deborah. Good. And up. It's not easy. That's why you need to squeeze your tush on that back leg so your glutes get involved and your knee joint doesn't hold all the work. Good. Look straight ahead. Remember, our balance is always at play. The chair is there for your support. Let's go 2 more times. And then on our last time, we descend, squeeze, squeeze, squeeze your bum, 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 bum. Yes, and down we go. Good. So if you need to move some props out of the way, we go into our 4-point kneeling position, patting our wrist creases or our knees, taking a standing position with our hands on the seat of a chair. And let's go back now, rock forward, get flexion in the wrists and extension in the wrists. Try to keep that neutral spine. And we're working on that base support, so spread those fingers. Taking up space with that breath, filling up the rib cage, rocking forward and back. And forward, press, 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 and back. Good, and then this last time, come into your 4-point kneel position, stacking the arms, stacking the thighs, bring your knees slightly forward, Dina. Good, push into the floor equally and evenly, and send your left leg behind you without anything changing. So just shift and straighten that back leg, left leg behind you, Karen. Toes on the floor. Good, so right there, you're already starting to get prepped for your hip extension. So push into the floor, tuck your chin in, Jenny D, and lead with the heel on your left leg. So float your left heel up, doesn't have to come up high, squeeze the tush and toes to the ground. So before you even lift that leg, initiate from the heel and the seat. We lift and we lower. How about 3 or 4 more times, Jean? Up, straight leg. I want that knee locked out 100%. Good. Good, and last time. You're basically mimicking a walk right there, right? So that leg behind you pushes you forward in your standing walking mechanics or your gait mechanics. Option here, bring your knee underneath your hip. Sit those hips back into an extended child's pose, walking those fingers forward, letting the chest settle here. It feels kind of nice. Or option, hips up and back into a full down dog. Pushing gravity away. We are not sinking on our joints. We're resisting gravity. Unlock those knees, Jenny D, and you'll get the hips up and back a little bit more. So knees bent, tilt the pelvis forward a little. Yes, good. Beautiful, Deborah. Feel free to pedal out those legs. Take a few deep breaths. Remember, inhale. Every time you breathe fully into the ribs, front, back, and sides, you're giving your lungs full expansion. You're giving those internal organs a beautiful massage. Perfect. And then everybody lower their knees to the floor. Widen your knees a little wider far apart than you normally would so that there's space for your abdomen. And then extend those arms forward and come into an extended child's pose. Some of you might even prefer stacking fists, placing them underneath your forehead. If that feels more supportive, please go ahead and do so. Imagine now I'm there and my hands are on your lowest part of your back ribs, please. Hands on your back. Inhale into my hands. Gorgeous, Karen. I can see that beautiful expansion. This is a difficult task. Easier to breathe into the front body, much more difficult to breathe into the parts of us we don't look at. All right, it's like a bedhead. It took me many years to go, oh wait, I should take a look back there. Huh? Couple more breaths, team. You're looking good. Full expansion. Working those intercostal muscles. Imagine like level or blinds in between each and every rib cage. Every time you inhale, those blinds open. And as you exhale, those blinds close. Really filling your body up. And exhale. Our transition can be whatever you want in terms of coming up to a standing position, team. So I like to come up into a kneel and step 1 foot forward. So you see how that already requires a lot of hip mobility. Remember that back tush, let it do the work. So squeeze it, toes curled under, and then push up. This time we're turning our chair to face us, the chair seat to face us, please. I have my blankets all ready for floor work coming up. Take a moment, take that sip of water if you need it. Turn to face your chair, feet parallel, hip width apart. Turn your palms away from your body. Really initiate that openness through the front of your chest. Softening through the front of the ribs, taking that moment to get settled. We'll wait a moment here while everybody gets connected. Spread those toes, team. So really lift all 10 toes and try to spread them apart. Good. And then as you inhale, circle sweep those arms wide. Maybe you're looking up. As you exhale, unlock those knees and push your hips forward. Take your hands to the seat of the chair. Straighten the elbows. Inhale, head up, look up. Bend the elbows, bend the knees. Exhale and fold. We're still in that tabletop position with the spine. Push the floor away, sweep those arms wide, reach them up, palms touch overhead or slightly in front of the body. And exhale, hands come through to the center of the body, of the heart. Good. Release the elbows, arms by side. Good. 2 more times, please. Inhale, turn your palms out. Inhale, reach up. As you exhale, hinge, flat back, forward fold, hands to seat of chair. Straighten your elbows, push the chair away. Inhale, head up, look up. Bend the elbows, exhale, and fold. Beautiful, Jean. Push into your strong foundation. Reach those arms wide and up. Reach for the sky. Palms touch. Exhale, hands to center of heart. Beautiful. One last time, please. Inhale, reach up. Exhale and bow. Hands to chair. Elbows straighten. Push the chair away. Look up. Bend the elbows. Bow. Push the chair away, push the earth away, reach those arms up overhead. Exhale, hands to heart center. Good, release those arms by your side, bend the knees and push your hips back, coming into that tabletop position, hands to seat of chair. So again, this could be in a class themed for balance, perhaps. Shift the weight of the body forward so your shoulders stay over the wrist creases. Take all the weight into your right foot and extend that right leg behind you. Keep your toes on the ground of that left leg, please. Good, so same thing here, your heel up to the sky, your right knee is bent. Reach that right heel up and back until you feel a squeeze and no more of your left glute. So I don't want that leg way up here, team, okay? So our hips are level, that's the important part. Push your heel back, unlock your right knee, Karen, and press into the chair. Neck is nice and long. We'll take 2 deep breaths here. Feel the weight in the foot, yes? Feel that right hip lift up to the ceiling. Drop your left hip rather. 2 and 1. Place your left foot to the ground. Push the earth away. Inhale, sweep up. Palms touch overhead. Exhale, hands to heart center. Good, release those arms by your side. Good, again, inhale, reach wide and up. Exhale and fold, find that flat back position. Press into the chair, establish that quadruped position in a standing way here, right? So we still want shoulders over wrists. Push into the chair, bend your left knee, stretch your right leg back behind you. So you're not leaning into that leg, you're stretching it back. Keep the toes on the ground as first. Feel the heel lift up towards the ceiling as you float that right leg up and back, squeezing through the seat. Hip extension right here. Try to touch the wall behind you with that right foot, like you're standing on that foot. Good. For 3, drop that hip for 2, hips are nice and square. And 1, and release your foot to the ground. Bend the knees, push the earth away, inhale, reach up. And exhale, hands to your heart. So good. Nice job, Candace. Roll those shoulders up, back, and down. And then simply release your arms by your side. A lot of work here today, right? So option before we make our way to the ground is to use your step stool if you happen to have a step stool. If you don't, you can use your chair or you can do this just like an air squat. So I'm going to demonstrate a variation. For those who feel that that stool ain't gonna happen today, guess what? You have your blankets. You can stack your blankets on top. Widen your feet as wide as the mat. At this upright position, you're gonna squeeze your tush, right? So this is hip extension, front of the hips are open. We're going into full hip flexion without compromising the spine. Okay, so our aim is to sit in the chair without tucking our tailbone under. And if that starts to happen, this is when you know you need to elevate your surface. So feet as wide as the mat, you can bring your hands into prayer position, roll those shoulders up, back, and down, and then begin the descent. down, chest up, look up, good. Can you touch down? If you cannot, you're gonna hold it into an air squat, okay, up here, right? Or even come to sit on the chair. Watch that tuck, Dina, I'm seeing your body round forward, right? So if we're coming all the way down and we're starting to hunch and you feel those shoulders roll forward, yeah, it's gonna take a minute, that's okay. Figure out where you are. You can be in that air squat position. Don't think it's gonna be easy, or in a seated position. Chest up, shoulders down. If you need to come out of it, you straighten your legs and come out of it. Good. Roll those shoulders back and down. So garland pose, a variation that suits you for 3, for 2, and 1. Let's all come out of that. So I'm gonna ask for the next variation for those who are not coming down onto the lower surface to use the edge of their chair. So just have the edge of their chair facing them, the corner, and you're gonna use that instead, okay? Good, and if you are using this, that's awesome. This is awesome too. Know that there's room for improvement in all of us, right? So there's some people who can actually get their bum to the ground here. I'm not one of them, but you know, maybe someday if I keep working that hip strength. Find our hands into a prayer position, roll the shoulders up, back and down, start to descend. Hip mobility, control, strength, touch your seat down wherever it is, and lift your spine up, lift your spine up. Remember the front ribs, we wanna keep them connected to the pelvis. Good, so you're sitting on the chair or you're sitting on the low step stool. Active, squeezing through the seat in 3, in 2, and 1, push up, come on up. Grab that quick sip of water. We're getting transition to a seated posture sequence on the ground. Have your strap handy. Wherever you can manage to sit on the ground with an upright posture. And this is where I'm grateful for my big monitor, right? So I can see you all. So we want to make sure that if we need to elevate that surface, we go grab those cushions from the sofa, and I want to see you all sitting on your surface, please. If you could tilt your camera or move your monitor. Remember, if you can't see yourself, I can't see you. Good. Jenny, I can see you fine. It's all good right where it is. Yeah, sorry, I can see you perfectly. You're all good. Giselle, you're good. Extend both legs out in front of you. I'm gonna say, Maureen, do you have anything that you can put more underneath your bum? So it's worth taking the time. Nora, can you tilt your monitor down so I see less of the wall and more of the Nora? I want to see the Nora. Nice, Karen. And same with you, Anne. If you could tilt it down just a little bit for me. Good. Looks good. All right, so again, legs are going to be extended in Dandasana pose. So legs can be straight, that's the ideal position. That is not available to everybody. Oftentimes when people extend their legs, they take it from their low back, right? So if that's you, then you're simply gonna bend both knees, take your hands on either side of the blanket or the earth that you're sitting on, squeeze the elbows back, and lift the breastbone up. Good, gazing straight ahead. So remember, bending the knees is going to give you a little bit more space in the spine, which is what I'm after. Trying to lengthen through the left and right side of your waistline equally and evenly. Keep squeezing those elbows back. So all the work we're going to do right now is on our right leg. Take a big breath in. And then when you're ready, you're gonna reach hold of that right ankle and bring that foot a little bit inside towards your thigh. And if it doesn't touch your thigh, maybe it touches your knee, maybe it touches your shin, right? Oftentimes people with really tight hips will have their knee way up over here, right? And that's okay. Again, always opportunity. What I like to do is to fill that space with a prop. And if you don't have anything else right now, it's okay. Just know that when you practice this again, nudge, nudge, wink, wink, you can find a prop, maybe even your step stool, to put underneath that leg for some added support. Deb, I think you're good. Yeah, I think you're good. I know your body well. Good. So the aim here is push your foot into your leg and your leg into your foot. Hands are still on either sides of your hips, squeezing those elbows back, chest facing that extended left leg. Yeah, and just take a couple of breaths here. So the goal is tall upright posture. It's not meant to be easy. These you're working your paraspinal muscles. Tuck that chin in for me and P, and lengthen up through the crown of the head. We'll take 3 breaths together. Relax your shoulders, Karen. Even if your hands have to come off the elevated surface more onto the floor, up onto your fingertips instead of palms. Good. Relax the jaw. Gaze down just past your toes, like you're looking at your toes, or just past them. Good. And then from here, take your other leg. Keep your right leg where it is. Take your other leg and bring the soles of the feet together. Therein lies the problem, yes? So here's a little trick that I like to do. My goal is always to bring them as close to my body as possible. But as soon as I do this, I tend to tuck my tailbone under. So my recommendation is to pick those feet up and bring them away from your body. Yeah. And now press the soles of the feet in together. Again, really focusing on that length. So really working those muscles which support the spinal column. And I put a post on Instagram today about Sukhasana, which is our next pose, which Giselle mastered quite beautifully at the beginning of class. But I don't know what's so easy about this posture. Stay up nice and tall. Squeeze your seat. Push those feet in together for 3, 2, 1. And then can you cross your legs? Easy pose. Ah. Take your hands, cup your knees, roll the shoulders back. Ah, suddenly this is a lot more accessible, huh? Good. Gazing softly downcast, chin tucked in. Just a few deep breaths. Again, anchoring through those sit bones on that elevated surface, knowing that the more space and strength we create in our hips, the less height we'll need over time. Good. Take one more breath. Before we move our body, pay attention to which leg is in front for you right now. For me, it's my right. This is my dominant posture. For you, it could be your left. You're just going to pay attention to which one it is right now and return back to staff pose or Dandasana. Extend both legs either straight or knees bent. If the legs are straight, in fact, if the legs are bent, I want you to flex the ankles, spread the toes, yes, just like they were your hands, and reach your heels away from your body. Yes, like you're trying to pull your toes back. Good. So really getting that length in through the backs of your legs. Candace, I would probably say next time you do this to elevate your pelvis even more. Might be a nice try, a nice option. Good. Take one more breath together. Spending time on the floor every day is the new little black dress. Take your left leg. You can use your hands today. I know I've often said don't use your hands, but you know, sometimes it's good to try different things. Bend your knee, and again, if you want to support that knee, I know oftentimes this is my knee that I've torn the meniscus many years ago. It's a little sensitive. Sometimes it's nice to support if you have that available. If not, that's okay too. Push your foot into your leg into your foot. Lift that breastbone up for me, Giselle. So really press your fingertips down, squeeze the elbows back, and imagine you have that book on the crown of the head. pushing your foot into your leg into your foot, much like when we do in tree posture. We don't want to just hang here. We want to activate those muscles. So push that foot into the leg wherever it connects to. Good, and then moving into cobbler's pose, butterfly pose, Baddha Konasana, you can call it whatever you want. Soles of feet together, maybe move them away from you so that you get more room in your hips, thereby nice tall spine. Good. Take a few breaths. Feel that space you're creating in your body. The more activation you have of those paraspinal muscles, the more you have an openness through the front of the chest to enable you to breathe even better. Take up space even more. Take one more breath together. And then I remember I asked you which was your dominant leg in Sukhasana. So whichever it was, you're going to switch it. Can you come into your cross-legged pose with the opposite leg in front? And some of you are like, no problem, no brainer. Others are like, all cocked over to one side. That was me for many, 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 many years. Good, hands on knees, roll the shoulders back, lift the chest up. That's it, Marie. Good, take a few breaths. Feel that work in your spine, it is work. Breathing into the front, side, and back ribs. Go one more time here. Good, and then extend both legs out, give them a little shake, moving your props out of the way. The only thing you will need coming to the ground is your blankets. So you can have one to support your head, and we'll use another one shortly. So again, some of you may not wish to have a blanket for your head. If again, we know the parameters for using support underneath your head. If you can maintain that nice long spine and chin tucked in position, just as if we were in mountain pose, then by all means. Transitioning to your supine position from side lying with our knees bent. Taking that moment, place one hand on your belly, one hand on your chest, and just taking those nice full expansive breaths. Who would have thought that a hip class was going to create more space in our upper body for breathing? Moving into posture, one of my favorite, Supta Padangusthasana 1, taking the strap into the arch of your right foot and extending your right leg on a high diagonal or to 90 degrees. Remember, team, this posture is not about bringing the leg close to your body and compromising that neutral spine position that we work so hard for here. So I would rather that leg be far away and straight, ankles flexed, toes spreading. And if you're able and comfortable here, take your opposite leg and extend it out onto the floor. Still at attention though, so don't let that leg go quiet. Shoulders down, chest lifted. And let's just take a couple of breaths here, feeling that flexion at the hip crease, extension through the back of the knee, chest nice and open. And I'm going to do this posture from this angle so that you can see your hips presently are level on the mat. Left and right, hip bones facing forward. That's not going to shift as we take both straps into our left hand. Take your right hand to the top of your right pelvis. We don't want any movement there as we take that leg across the body just an inch or two at most, trying to keep that back right waistline on the ground. So it's a very small movement. Both hips stay anchored, please. Good. Take a couple of breaths. That's it, Deborah. Really feel the back right waistline connected. And then inhale, we come back through center, taking both straps into your right hand, please. Walk your right hand as high up the strap as you can, Jenny. Yes. Turn your right toes out towards the right, so we'll get that external rotation. Sandra, walk your hands a little closer down towards your knee or shin. That's it. And then see how far you can open that leg, but this time keep your left back waistline and hip down. Yes. So Jenny and Candace went right away to anchoring their left hip down with their hand. That's great tactile feedback. You're gonna feel your core kick in. Reach your heel up and away. It's not a big movement. Good, but can you breathe? Can you still take up space? Can you still expand your breath? Feeling that strength that's required in such a seemingly simple move. Nice, Maureen. Inhale, come back up through center. Exhale, release that right leg to the ground. Let it meet the left leg and just give those legs a little bit of a shake. Good, and then when you're ready, bend both knees, placing the soles of the feet on the ground once again, please. Taking the strap to the sole of your left foot, extending your left leg to the ceiling where it meets the wall, something in that variety. I want to say like a 75 to 90 degree area. And then extending your right leg, but keeping it sharp, toes to the sky. Heel to the floor, anchor through your inner right thigh. Good, just take a couple of breaths, try to open up the back of that knee as best as you can, Deborah, so maybe move your leg away from you. Yes, much better. That's it. Jenny did the same thing as soon as I said Deborah. I love it. Good. And then again, can you take both of the straps into your right hand? You can use your left hand in the crook of your left hip to keep it anchored. There's your feedback, and take your leg across your body to the right. Again, tiny movement. Hello, IT band. If you can straighten your right leg, Maureen, it's going to give you a little bit more room, but if it doesn't feel good to you, then by all means, keep that knee bent. Good, so we're aiming for toes at attention, foot spreading. Good, really try to straighten out that knee, Jean, if you can. It's hard to tell with your pants. There you go, good. Nice, Giselle, good. One more breath here. And then inhale, let's return back through center, taking the opposite hand to the strap, as high up the strap as you comfortably can go, keeping your arms centered in the socket. Good. Left hand can be used for feedback on top of left hip crease, or vice versa, depending on which leg you're doing, and open that leg away from your body. So a seemingly easy pose once again, but again, we're recruiting from the hip, we're recruiting from the core. You might feel like you're a little bit more restricted in your breath, but I encourage you to keep that abdominal contraction and take the breath a little bit more into rib cage, a little higher up. Inhale, let's return back through center. Exhale, both feet to the ground. We're going to finish up with one final posture, and this is where I encourage you to have a little more height than normal. And this is where I will stack my blankets and use them as a block or a bolster. For those yogis in here who have blocks or bolsters, you're always welcome to use them. With my knees bent, anchor through the feet and place the support. I like the blankets or a bolster because it's just a little cushier underneath my pelvis. So one more thing to do. We did a lot of strengthening. Now we're gonna finish off with one last stretch. Yeah, that'll work, Karen. So come into your supine position, then lift your pelvis to take it underneath your bum. There you go. Has it flattened out yet, Karen? Karen bought this big, beautiful bolster, and she just hated how puffy it was. And I think after all these years, maybe it's gone down a wee bit. That's a good quality bolster. All right, team, so from here, let your pelvis rest on an elevated surface, nothing underneath your head here, because all the weight is moving back in towards your head, so we don't want that extra curve in the cervical spine. From here, we're gonna straighten our left foot up towards the ceiling. So just extend your foot up, good. Dial your leg out, like you're turning your left toes out to the left. And then bend your knee, placing it on top of the right thigh or kneecap. Good. So some of you may choose to stay here. You might be feeling a stretch. If you take your left hand to your left thigh, you can gently press your left thigh away. Remember, our ankle is at attention. We've been really focusing on that throughout today's class. So keep that ankle flexed. Some of you may choose to pull that thigh in towards your chest, keeping your pelvis anchored on the pillowed surface that your pelvis is on. Choice is yours, team. Yeah. And I like this variation because I can kind of relax into it. If you wanted to use your hands, you could, but not necessary. Still think of ankle flexed. Take a few deep breaths into this, making sure your pelvis is elevated, Giselle, and not your back, right? Yes, good. Good. One more breath, inhale. Exhale, lower that right foot to the ground, lower your left foot to the ground, and switch sides. So right foot to the sole of the ceiling, or to the ceiling, that's right. Dial your right foot out, bend your right knee, taking it to left thigh or kneecap, or knee rather, good. Take your right hand to your right thigh. You can gently press that thigh away from you. That might be sufficient for you. If you want to intensify the sensation, you can pull your left thigh in towards your chest, thereby your left foot is going to be floating off the ceiling. Yeah, you can then interlace your hands behind your left thigh, or grab your pant leg, whatever works best for you here. You can let your right shin relax maybe, or your left shin rather relax. Yeah, there's different ways to skin the cat. Nice, Maureen. Take a couple of breaths here. Beautiful. Release that. Place both feet on the ground. Please lift your pelvis up. Now, some of you may choose to enjoy a couple of moments of mindfulness here in an elevated surface. So right now, all the blood is flowing inwards towards your heart. It is technically a restorative posture. Others may prefer to lift the bolster out of the way, scoot it underneath their knees, or just extend both legs. So take a moment to find your comfortable resting position for the final few moments of your class here in Yoga for Bones. Turn your palms to sky. Find that full, nice, expansive breath. Chest, rib cage, belly expanding fully in front, back, and sides. Just bringing a little bit more awareness into our breathing mechanics here. So taking that nice full breath in through the nose. If it feels good and supportive to you, feel a nice, cool, calm exhale through your mouth. We'll do that a couple of more times. Long, cool inhale in through the nose. And a deep, smooth, long exhalation through your mouth. And collectively, we'll do that one more time. Inhale. Fill up right to the very last bit. And exhale, letting it go. When you feel ready, we'll start to bring some gentle movements into our fingers and into our toes. If you're using the blankets or your block as a bolster, I encourage you to lift those hips up, press into the ground, and scoot that out of the way. For the rest of us, extend that one arm up overhead, bringing your thighs to touch, turn to that one side. That's it, Candace, good, Maureen. Pausing for a moment before you come to an upright position. Remember, allowing your head to be the very last thing that comes up. So keep your chin tucked in and slowly press upright. Find a comfortable seat for you. So if you want to be able to hold on to this, we need to spend the time there. So I do not, for many reasons, teach yoga in a chair, although I know it's very popular and a lot of people do it, but that is not what we do here in Yoga for Bones. We give you skills, and having the skill to get up and down from a chair is super valuable, team. If you'd like to take your palms together at your heart center or rest your hands on your thighs, that is all good. Nod your chin in towards your chest and just take a moment to thank yourself for taking space up in this class, in this community, in this room, in your home, in your life. Take a big breath in and exhale. Welcome yourself to the rest of your day, team. Thank you so much for being here in Yoga for Bones. So happy you could join me today. It was a full house today. I love it. I'm going to stop the recording. Thanks, team.